Hello everyone, welcome to EduCatFirst. So today we will learn a very easy and a fast way to build REST API using Spring Boot. So without wasting any time, let's quickly get started. So these are the prerequisites. You should know Java and basics of Spring Boot will also do. The tools will be for ID, we will use Spring Tool Suite and database Postgres. Then we will need some dependencies to be added in pom.xml file, which are Spring Boot Starter Parent, Spring Boot Starter Web, Spring Boot Starter Data JPA, and Postgres, dependency for Postgres. Then the flow will be, see, whenever a request will be hit from the browser, it will go to the controller, it will search that particular method, and then it will go to the repository where the database will be called and the data from the database will be fetched, and then it will use a model for binding the data. So now let's start. So this is Spring Tool Suite. See, first you need to add a Maven project by clicking on File, New, Maven project. Use any of your location where you would love to get the project, and then next give the project name and then finish. So these are the things. Then I've already made a project, employee web service. See, now we will require pom.xml file. In pom.xml file, you need to add the dependencies such as Spring Boot Starter Parent, then Web, okay, Data JPA, test for testing. Here we are not going to use it as such now, and then Postgres. Okay, so I'll also give you the file, so don't worry about it. Then we have application.properties. In application.properties file, you will mention the data source URL, username, password, and the server.port number. See, you also need to mention these two details of Hibernate dialect, PostgreSQL dialect, okay? And server.port, you can give any port number as you wish, okay? I have given 8083. Now, let us make so these are the things, pom.xml, application.properties. Now we will start the coding part. We will first make a package, new com.educatfirst.spring. Okay, so here we will make a class, new class, Spring application. Instead of Spring application, we will give the name as employee API application. Okay, so now here we will write a method, public static void main string args Spring application dot run, and here we will write this class. This will be same as the class name, dot class comma args. Okay, and we will annotate this class as Spring Boot application. Import the package, and we are done. So this will be the entry point for running our Spring Boot application. So now second, I have already made the package controller. Okay, so I'll just add the class. I'll name it as employee API controller. Okay, employee API controller. Then I'll add the class model employee API model, and then the repository, employee, API, repository. Okay, so we are done with the skeleton. Now come to employee API model. Here I'll give a parameter which is C. This will be a table, right, named as employee, and this will be the primary key ID. So let us make a parameter as private integer ID, annotate it with column name name is equal to ID, and this is our ID, so we'll also annotate it with ID. Okay, then annotate this class as entity, where the table name is employee. Okay, and import all the packages. Okay, so we are done. You can also generate the getters and setters. So in as of now we don't require it, so I'm not going to generate it. Let us see this employee API repository is actually not going to be it is actually going to be an interface. So let us rename it as interface employee repository extends JPA interface extends JPA repository. Now your T is going to be our model class name, which is employee API model. Okay, so I just copied it and I'll paste it here. Now this ID is nothing but the integer type of our ID, which is integer. So mention integer here. Okay, import the package. Okay, so done with this. Now I can close this employee API model. Now I just require, see, this is going to be fixed. We are not going to change anything here. This is just going to be an entry point for running our Spring Boot application, as I said earlier. So let me close this. We are going to only play with these two classes, which is controller class and interface, which is employee API repository. Now come to controller class, annotate it with REST controller, import the package. Now here, any request which is going to be hit from the browser will come here. So we'll use REST request mapping, which is going to be get employee API. Okay, I'll name it as get employee API. Import the package of request mapping. Then now come into the class. We'll make a method which is public list of. Now see, what our API is going to do is it is going to fetch all the data from the employee table and show it in JSON format on our browser. So that's it. So now we need list of objects. That means we need list of objects. Okay, name it as get employee EMP data. Get EMP data, which is going to return EMP list. Now it will return an EMP list. Import the packages. See, now list of object EMP list is equal to employee repo. See, first we will make a object of employee repository class. So employee repository, this class, right? Employee API repository. Okay, this is the name. I'll just copy it and paste it here and make an object emp repo. Annotate it with @autowire. What will @autowire do? It will link these two classes, employee API repository with employee API controller. Okay, I just added the packages of this. Now, this we will call it here employee API repo, employee repo dot get emp data. Now let us make this method in employee repository. Okay. So in interface, what do? We just declare the methods. I have just declared the method. Now, since our query, our database details are already mentioned in application.properties file, so that is going to be a native query. So the easier and a shortcut way, this will be a faster way. So instead of writing the whole method and adding all the connections, you can just write @query, add the package @query value is equal to select star from employee, comma, native query is equal to true. So that's it. Yeah. Now this method will be annotated with get mapping, and get mapping, let us give the name as get emp data. Okay, so whenever the request is hit from the browser and this get emp employee API is called, it will come to this controller, and then it will search for this get emp data. Wherever it will be mentioned, it will call this method, and then it will go to employee repository, and from there this query will fetch the data from employee table, and we will get the data in the list, which will be finally shown on our browser. So let me rename this as, I'll just simply keep it as Spring. Okay. Okay, so we are done. Now we'll just run this class. Let us wait for a few seconds. So our application has been started employee API application in so and so seconds. What is our port number? 8083. So go to the browser. Localhost. Write the spelling correctly. Localhost 8083 slash, what is it? It is get employee API slash get emp data. Get employee API slash get emp data. Enter. So we got all the data from the database for employee number 1, employee ID 1, employee ID 2, employee ID 3. See. Okay. All the data from the database. Okay. Now, second is, what if we want the data for only a particular employee? For example, I want the data for employee ID 2. So what we will do in that case, we will just copy the same method. Let us give the name as get employee data by employee ID. Okay, slash employee ID. Okay, we will also pass employee ID there. Here also get employee data by employee ID, and also make a new method, that is get employee data by employee ID in employee repo. Here we will get this employee ID from the path using a path variable. So for that we will use path variable annotation, and we will get this employee ID here, and then give the int employee ID and then pass it here in this method. Now create this method in employee repository. Okay, now see, @query value is equal to select star from employee, where ID is equal to employee ID is equal to employee ID. Okay, colon employee ID, comma native query is equal to true. And here we are getting this parameter here, right? So that's why we will write here as @param emp id, import the package, and we are done. Okay, done with employee API repository. Now let us rerun this application. Copy this get employee data by ID. I will put it here. I want the data for employee ID 2. So see, we have got the data for employee ID 2. Now if I want it for employee ID 1, see, okay, similarly 3. Okay, so now you can also if you want the employee data using the employee ID as well as name. So how will we do that? We need to just pass name parameter here. Then same, we will just copy the same thing and paste it here. Let us name it as name. Okay, pass the parameter name to this method. Go to employee repo, pass it here, comma @param name string name. This is going to be string. So here also name is string. So we'll write string here. And here select star from employee where ID is equal to employee ID and name is equal to name, colon name. Okay. See, this is param because we are just adding the parameter to this method, and this is path variable. So don't get confused between these two. Path variable because we are getting the variables from the path. Okay, so now we will rerun the application. Just wait for a few seconds. Okay, so the application has been started. Come to the browser and we will add 3/Sam. So we got the data for the third employee with employee name as Sam. So let us give the employee ID 1 slash the name as Rita. We'll get the data for employee ID 1 with the name Rita. One Rita. Okay. So this is how you will build the REST API, in an easy and a faster way. So if you want me to make any video on any other topic, then please comment below and subscribe to stay tuned for new videos. Thank you so much.